So you mentioned JLR. JLR is an important customer to us. It's currently about 20% of our business. And the model for the business, which is shared with JLR, is we don't want it to increase to be more than that because we're overly reliant on one business then. So there's no desire to grow the percentage. But what there is an ambition for is to grow the business. And as we grow the business, of course, 20% is more of a bigger business. So in terms of client base, we're becoming more and more global. We've got an office in China, which it delivers projects, and we've got representation in Brazil. We've got a brakes development site in Oaxaca in Spain, and other areas of the world. So we're getting more global, which is extending our reach into other customers. So a couple of projects I'm involved with directly are for Chinese customers, for example. So that's the model, is really that diversity across the customer base. But there's also a drive for diversity across sectors. So, we do defence work, and that's everything from a clean sheet of paper through to supplying warranted systems up to maybe 100 units of quite high value. So that carries with it quite some unique challenges around accountability and risk of those designs. That our designs, we warranty them for a year in a very harsh environment. And then right at the other end of the scale, certainly the guys do some very highly technical projects where there's nothing you can pick up and touch at the end. It's more about the solution and the engineering and the intellect that's gone into that. It might be design, it might be some analysis, it might be a report, and everything in between.
Yeah.
So very diverse. We talked about diversity earlier, but certainly in terms of customer base as well. We don't want to be reliant on a small number of customers. We want to be across sectors, and that's growing, and we want a diverse customer base to give us that stability and growth. Make sense?
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. To be the feel of the scope of work, and just a lot of work outside of the
Absolutely. And currently, if you look at the cross-section of our work, about 50% of it is test work, and about 50% of it is the rest of the business. And within that test work, there's some fairly operational projects, a crash test, a shift in a wind tunnel. But actually within that work as well, some complex projects where there's a lot of added value from the engineering team, and maybe my team managing the projects. So we do the testing, the development, and the design, the iterations, and deliver the solution. So that's quite a test-based turnover, and you can see the facilities, which are world-class and unique. It is also supporting the growth of that engineering and the complex project side.
I think, just add to that, MIRA is very open to the industry, so we're not just working with all of the big OEM suppliers, we're dealing with tier 1s, tier 2s, and whether it be a £500 certification test or whether it be a £10 million product delivery activity, we cover the whole scope right from one end to the other.
Something we touched on earlier, but we didn't expand on really, is the independence as well. So we're independent, and that's a real pull to a lot of companies. So we're not aligned to JLR or GM or anybody like that. Yeah. We're independent, and that's really valuable.
We tend to say that a degree is preferable because that gives us a certain starting point against which to assess somebody's technical capabilities, but we want to look at things in the round, and if in the course of those 17 years somebody has achieved a certain experience, it would stand them in good stead to be shortlisted for whatever vacancy is being applied for.
We have a high proportion of people at MIRA that are degree qualified. We have a high proportion of chartered engineers, for example, but equally we have a very high proportion of people that have gained their experience vocationally and developed through a number of years of experience, and so we don't rule out anybody that does or doesn't have a degree, HNC, HND, whatever it may be. MIRA at the moment is circa a £50 million business, and by 2017 our aim is to be 70 to 80 million. So it's significant growth, but that's not all necessarily here. We've got our overseas operations. We've got the technology park in itself, which brings in a lot of revenue as that grows. So I think it's realistic growth. We're not trying to balloon suddenly to something that's unsustainable. We've got to grow with the industry around us. My colleagues want to add anything to that?
Only that in the last couple of years we've developed a new structure for all our engineering functions that is very scalable. So we're quite ready to expand in whichever industry sector does expand. because we've got a model now that means we can feed in the right resources and grow the right resources without having to invent new departments to put people in. And I think we're finding that's a bonus already.
I think there's another aspect that's often alluded to be considered. You heard earlier on that we talked about the other offices that we've got in Brazil, China and India from there. Brazil is going to be one of the fastest growing markets in the world for automotive. We already know where the resources are going to come from that, and we know where the skill set is from there. Whereas these days, anybody can do testing and just do testing. What they can't do is the resolution when things go wrong with the testing and pull the package together, and that's the difference that we make. The growth plans of the organisation is looking very carefully at all those markets, because the UK and Europe eventually will become stagnated and it will become flattened out. But those other markets will grow substantially. And they're investing over in this country in technical centres, which we've got over here from there, and other elements, and that's what we're looking to build up. And all the teams that we're working with, especially those that are a bit younger than me, is that we're developing those so that it can be a lot more global, much as a major OEM would do. And that's part of the strategy that we've got, which is not as obvious as it sometimes needs to be. Okay?
Thanks, Trevor.
So as a business, we're committed to investing in people. You know, we have personal development plans and we look to give people the experiences they need to strengthen them, in line with business needs, and to move people around and give them that exposure. But certainly within the organisation that Bill mentioned, it's a matrix organisation. We've talked about the diversity of the business and the project-based nature, so as things starting and finishing all the time. You saw perhaps Lisa on the video saying it's like having a new job every 2 years. 2 years is quite a long project for MIRA. So actually, it's likely to be much more quick moving than that. So with that change, there's opportunity. So every 3 to 6 months to a year, there's an opportunity to think, right, okay, well, you've demonstrated yourself in that role. This next opportunity is coming along. It's quite unique compared to the last one, but you know what? You've demonstrated those qualities and abilities. Let's see if that matches. And if we can tie that back to the PDP, to the development plan that says, you know, we want to give Michael some more experience in owning a project in the cost side, for example, we'll be looking for that opportunity. And because it's turning over quite quickly in project terms, quite often we can match the two.
So I've been here 7 months and I don't think I've had a typical day yet. I don't think I've had 2 days that are the same. It's what makes it exciting, it's what makes it interesting. You know, one day you're working on something that's this big, the next day you're working on a commercial vehicle, full scale. There is no typical day.
I guess the challenge is, given that we're all looking at different roles in our vacancies, to suggest what might be typical for somebody that we might recruit. But one thing we ought to say is that we're forever getting people to help out, by which I mean you don't sit and work all day, every day on just one job. I certainly encourage all my design and simulation staff to participate in the sales support process, responding to queries, helping colleagues with things that crop up. The benefits of being alongside someone who's doing something different is that you get a bit of variety by proxy. Even if your project is taking quite a while, you get to see the projects that they're doing and the problems they're overcoming. So although the day can start and finish at broadly the same time every day, there's usually something different going on every day, and you can be a part of more than just what literally you're being paid for.
Something that I thought was important that Christian mentioned when he was talking earlier was the lack of politics. We're a very straightforward organisation. What you see is what you get. A lot of people, when they join MIRA, will walk up and down the corridors, we greet people by name, we say hello, and they consider MIRA to be quite a family environment. And I think that's an important element of what MIRA is. Most of us, in fact I would say all of us, are proud to say that we work at MIRA. We're proud of what we do whilst we're here, and we're proud of the products that we produce. And we're very supportive of one another. It is a big team. It sounds twee, perhaps, to say that, but it is. That's the case. We support one another, and there is no blame culture, there is no politics. It's just get on with your job, do what you're paid to do, and we will invest in you, and from that we will get the best out of you and the best for MIRA's customers.
There again, if I could take my design team as an example, it depends what they've been doing before. Those who come to us and go through our graduate training scheme, they may well settle fairly locally in the villages of North Warwickshire. Others who have been elsewhere in the Midlands car industry, could be anywhere from Oxford to Longbridge kind of area, and places that were convenient to get to those places of work in the past. I have currently got folk in a region from North Warwickshire to Birmingham to Leamington and Stratford. Again, it depends what for. If you're talking about simulation design, on the design side, the main workhorse tools are CATIA version 5 and SolidWorks. Within the simulation areas, we have a toolkit that includes well-known names such as Nastran, Adams, Abacus, Dyna, Fluent. If you recognise those, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But other software is available, as they say, and there is simulation going on all over the site. My own strand is all about the mechanical.
So on the electronic side of it, a little bit of a shorter list. We're using V6 Classic, V6 2, looking at next generation electrical distribution system software and design software. We also use Altium for PCB design. We have hardware for the more military applications for harness design. So it's the usual electrical electronic tools.
Word and Excel.
And PowerPoint.
We are just short of 600 people.
Mm-hmm.
Quite small.
Yeah, we are small.
It's about as many people as acres, isn't it, roughly?
Pick your acre. Between the video and Guy's speech, we gained 100 acres, so it's growing all the time.
Yeah. I think 75% or thereabouts is technicians and engineers from that. So it gives you some gauge of it isn't a management top-heavy company, which goes back to some of the Guy's comments. It's very much a doing company.
Yeah, it's going to be what I was going to ask next. So.
It depends on the market you're talking about. So we've been, if you take China for example, is perhaps one of our most mature markets that we've been involved in. We've been working over there for probably 20 years. We have our own staff, we have our own office over there, our own team. And that's built by a combination of MIRA employees travelling and spending time there. It's built by a combination of employing people that are industry experts, and it's built by developing the skills and capabilities of local engineers. We've worked with a lot of Chinese customers, for example, and over the years we've built relationships, and at times we've employed some of those, and they've now become MIRA people. They spend time in the UK, so we build those relationships with the team here, and we build parallel skills, capabilities to make sure that when you do a job at MIRA in the UK, you do a job in MIRA in Spain, you do it in China, you get the same MIRA result, the MIRA culture, the MIRA ethos. Brazil, that's a forming market for us. Clearly a huge market potential, and we're not the first in the market segment to be out there. But we're drawing upon what makes MIRA good and what makes us different and differentiates us from the Idiadas, the Millbrooks, whatever our competitors may be considered to be. We work with local organisations, the local government. We work with other local companies that have resources that we can tap into and work in parallel with. And we will slowly, over time, build the same sort of capability that we've got in China, but in Brazil, and probably beyond, because I can imagine that market might actually be bigger for us ultimately than the Chinese market. There is more of a desire to work with external parties than in China, where they perhaps want to learn how to do it and then do it themselves.
I think just to add to that as well, it's a very insightful question you've asked, because MIRA as an organisation is very UK based. We've got a bit of land which tends to keep us here in the test facilities. So that global growth is quite a risk really. I think
certainly when you see certain companies that have endeavoured and claimed that they're going to do this and slowly sort of phased their way out of it. And I think, as you're saying, you know, I think the ethos is what you're constantly repeating is that of the family environment, the way in which you cross-communicate, constant learning, constant repetition of lessons learned. It's about building that foundation. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's good. Good to hear.
We're not a product organisation, so it's the people, it's us that we have to sell.
It's personnel, brain, powered service. Exactly. Yeah.
There's a bit more of a platform we can build on that, because a lot of the major organisations are already beginning to establish in these markets, such as Jaguar Land Rover specifically. One of the things that they're interested in getting the lump of metal out the door. What they have real struggles with, because they're trying to get lumps of metal out the door, is to actually bring their organisation up to speed to be able to do that.
No, they're struggling in this country already. So
That's right. Now, one of the things that we kind of bring to the party in that is that because we understand what they do, because we support and deliver it, then we're very well placed to go and support them to do that from there. If you take, for example, Brazil, which is good, the big call for Brazil for skills and competences, if you like, is out of Portugal. Because one, they automatically talk the language, which is always helpful. And two, the standards that they actually apply in Portugal in terms of engineering and chartership is absolutely aligned to that of the UK. Now then, we've already spoken to 3 universities in Portugal and shared the platform with Jaguar Land Rover over there from there. And it's all about getting the name in front, like you were describing, from there. And one of the things that we hope to do moving forward with China and all the other people is that we do recognise that the OEMs, frankly, they want to get in there, but they also need a little bit of help setting it all up from there. And what we hope to do is actually supply that help, really. Because we don't just see one organisation, we see a lot of other organisations, and we can give them alternatives. And that's the bit that makes the big difference. And for us, that's the bit that makes the money for us as well.
Well, it's based upon repeatability. If you can gauge it over here, you should be able to do the same over there. They're buying credibility.
Yeah, and we don't have the political distractions that they have as well, which is helpful.
Indeed.
I'm going to give you my experience in 2 years. I've not been abroad yet with MIRA. My previous employer, I was going abroad probably every 2 or 3 months. Russia, China, Japan. So again, we're quite fortunate, you know, there's a lot of facilities here that gives us the foundation here. So generally, the customers come to us. But it is important that we establish that global footprint, that we get capable people out there to really transfer the success and build it. So it's an important factor. I wouldn't say there's a lot of international travel, but it's important that we, as a business, have that flexibility.
I think it does depend on the role also. We have, within the mechanical function group, we have some of the engineers that perhaps 4 or 5 times a year may travel out to China for a week or maybe 2 weeks. But generally speaking, when we're talking about business travel, we're talking about a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. Much more beyond that is unusual, unless it's part of a secondment, and then that's done because that's something that the individual wants to do and the business needs to support. And in which case, you know, we've had individuals from the UK here travel out to China, as an example, for 2 years. We've moved their family out. That's been something that they've wanted to do, and we've needed as part of our business, so it's been mutually beneficial, and then they've moved back again afterwards. So it does depend on the role, to some extent, what the individual is looking for, and how that matches with the business.
Yeah, so I suppose in my role I deal a lot with the business performance, which is a project-based organisation, boils down to project performance. So it won't surprise you to know that we want to be in business and we want to get paid every month. So we do measure commercial performance. That's an important measure for us. As an independent organisation, we don't make a profit for shareholders. That stays in the business. So clearly there's some motivation there to stay profitable, to stay in business, but to reinvest in the facilities, reinvest in the people, and reinvest in those research projects that gives us capability and competencies that we need to stay competitive and at the cutting edge and innovating. Another measure of success in a project context is the lessons learned at the end. You know, are we constantly iterating and getting better? Are we continuously improving? Are we transferring best practice? and we actively look and measure that. We measure customer satisfaction and customer feedback. We also have an internal system which looks at where things could have gone better or have gone really well, and again share that best practice, so that they're measures of success in a project context.
As a team leader, I'm directly monitoring people's performance. So we have a system of appraisals, interim appraisals. They're set, people, the team members are set objectives, I'm set objectives. And
Come on down, Trey.
we actively monitor those throughout the year. So I do one-to-one sessions, and any performance feedback that comes back, good or bad, then comes through that. And we look at how to develop the people. So if you have somebody who's performing very well in one area but not so much in the other one, you look at then how to improve them and develop them to bring those people on. It's a continuous progress, continuous improvement system with people.
Trevor, do you want to add anything to that?
I'm a share retiring one. People measurement, yeah, very easy actually. The objective of anybody who kind of works with us and we deliver stuff is the objective is to deliver what we agree to deliver at the end of the day. The individuals are monitored like that. And here's a measurement I give with my guys because they work with the project right from the beginning right to the end. And this is a very simple, crude example. If you're in a production facility delivering a program and you're there to support it when it goes through, if you're bored out of your arse with your arms folded because you've got nothing to do, you've done a fantastic job. And frankly, I don't care what you do if you get to that. The other thing that's important is the continuous growth all the way through from there. And the commitment, personal commitment, it's nothing to do with MIRA, it's the way I've always worked. Is that you join us and you join with my team, is whether you're a contractor or whatever, you will walk away with a higher level of competency and skill than you came with. And the measurement that's in there is actually how you progress. And I've got some guys that have been with me 2, 3, coming up to 4 years. Some of them have been a bit hostile earlier on, but I'm sure if you talk to them, you'll find that they're actually better. And the big significant measure from there is me looking at them and them feeling that they've actually progressed and they're better. The key measurements from the clients that we have are really simple. Every month we discuss every single member of the team's performance with a client. Every year they actually monitor us against certain criteria. And one of the key elements of it is delivery. All the objectives that we put in place are all based around that from there. Personally, you'll get it wrong. And if you're not, or you never get it wrong, you're probably not trying hard enough, to be honest. The only thing that's different is, if you get it wrong, we'll look at what was the cause of that and work out best to put it right. What we won't do is go, it's your fault. The only person that gets it's your fault is me. You know, that's my job. And that's the kind of criteria. We don't go in for a shed load of objectives that are woolly, that are nice. If you do this, it's very clear. Your objective is to do this. With many of the big projects that we do, they're all gateway driven anyway. And they're all deliverables based. If I don't go through a particular gateway, we don't get a load of money. So it might surprise you to learn that we have a little bit of a focus about getting there really. From there. And that's it. The big thing that we do that is very different, and very different to a lot of organisations, particularly with the people who are not permanent, is that we actually invest in training them. You know, I don't just take a contractor on that goes, you do this discrete piece of work and that's your lot. We actually bring them along, we train them, we coach them, we invest them into them to do that. The risk for me is that they'll get all these nice lovely skills that I've given them and go, see you mate, I'm off. In which case that's fine. You know, that's the risk that we take.
I guess there's a key phrase that always sticks in my mind, which is that every journey will be positively influenced by MIRA. And that can take many forms, but that is quite a compelling vision. Every journey you take, the journey you took here today, whether it's on foot, using GPS on your phone, whether it's a vehicle, a train, a plane, anything, it's been positively influenced by MIRA. And that's quite inspiring if you think about it.
And is that between the M1 motorway?
It could be, you look outside of these towers, this is all about telemetry and vehicle control, automated vehicles, all those kind of things. So it doesn't necessarily need to be all about a car. It's also the control systems. Proving ground management. We sell proving ground management as a service. We have to manage a proving ground. We have to manage the traffic on it. So these are all aspects of journeys that we take part in every day.
The infrastructure as well.
Right. We're connected with the M1. We're also regularly simulating and indeed testing barrier systems for motorway safety and elsewhere.
But, yes, we have a very clear vision that's communicated by the managing director to the teams on a regular basis, and is drawn back to when he's talking and explaining the progression of the business and the development that we're making. It's always referred back to, so we get continuity of our development as we progress. We've got a very clear strategy too, and that's at a corporate level and also at a group and team level. I think overall as a company we have a pretty, I can't quote you an absolute statistic, I don't have it to hand, but we have a low turnover rate. But turnover is not a bad thing. It brings opportunities for people within existing teams, it brings new blood into the company. But we do find people leave and they come back. It has been said that once you've joined MIRA you never leave. We have a good number of employees around the site that have been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They've gone away, they've worked elsewhere where the grass was apparently greener. And 3, 4 years they've come back to our benefit because they've now picked up additional skills, experiences, and they stay with MIRA then for the next 10, 12, 15 years. Once again, thank you for coming and hearing all about MIRA. Hopefully we've been able to inform you, if not entertain you. And if there's any further questions you want to ask on a more one-to-one or private level, then please hang around.
We'll be around for a while.
We'll be available to talk to you. So, thank you.